Hi everyone, this is Aman and in this video we are going to cover data fetching in React. So the prerequisite for this video, you should have a basic understanding of React and basic understanding of JavaScript, and you should know about promises and async await. So in this video, we are going to use 4 approaches for data fetching. First, we'll use promise.then.catch method, and the rest 3 approaches uses async await. You will also find a use case of IIFE, that is immediately invoked function expression. If you don't know about it, you'll find it in this video. So let's jump to the code. I have created a demo application. Here I have defined 2 states, one for star names and second for set loading. And here I am just mapping star names and printing star.name. So that will print all these star name on the UI. Right now the UI will show loading because we are not calling any kind of API. So we'll use this URL for the API, and if we check this URL, we have an count, next, previous and results. So inside the results, we have all the data, and this consists of some names. Let's start writing the code. Let's call useEffect because calling an API is a side effect, and we have to handle all the side effect inside an useEffect. So first parameter is a callback function, and the second parameter is a dependency array. So right now this dependency array will be empty. Now I'll call the fetch method for calling API. We are not going to use Axios in this video. If you want to know about Axios, then please comment down. I'll create a separate video for that. Fetch method expects a URL, so let's pass it. Now fetch method will return us a promise. So for resolving a promise, we'll use .then method. So this is our first approach. Now .then method will expects us a callback function. So we'll pass it. Now in the parameter, I'll declare a variable. So we'll declare the parameter. So I'll write result here. Now we'll log this first. So let's check the UI. So if you see the console, we are getting the response, but you're not able to see any kind of data right now. If we see the body, we get some readable string. So how can we get the data? For that, we need to parse the data. So for parsing, we have one method, that is JSON. So now if I go to the UI, if I expand this, we are getting our data inside this. So we get all the variables that is defined inside this. So we get all the data here. Now we only need these results. We have one more method, that is text. So we'll use text here. I'm just showing you that what text will do. So text will not return any kind of array. It will just stringify that particular array. But we don't want like this. So I'll use the JSON method. So I'll remove this log and return result.json. So we can call the then method. We use data. So this is a callback function. Now let's console the data first. Let's check the UI. So we are getting the data here. So now we have to set our states. So we'll set star names data dot results because our data is inside this results. We have to make the set loading as false. because when data fetching completed, we don't want a loader on the UI. We'll use a catch method, and that expects a callback function. So we'll pass a callback function. Error spelling is wrong, so let's pass it. What's happening? Now it's correct. So we'll console the error. So go to the UI. Now on the UI, we are able to see all the star names. Yes, so you learned how to fetch data, but wait, this is only one approach. Now we'll use async and await, and using the async await, we'll cover 3 approaches. So let's move to the UI. And one more thing, you'll question, Aman, why we haven't set these state here directly? So it's up to you whether you want this promise chaining or you want to set it here. So for now, I'll copy this and remove all this thing. Okay. So first I'll paste this fetch, and let me put await here and async here. Now you're able to see we are getting some warnings. So let's move to the UI first and refresh it. So you'll see our UI is not loading and we get one warning on the console. So it says useEffect must not return anything beside a function which is used for cleanup. So let's understand this particular line. So inside this useEffect, we are passing a callback function, and this callback function can only return a cleanup method or it return nothing. If you're not aware about the cleanup function, please read about it, because if I'm going to cover it here, so this video will stretch. So for now, I'm skipping that topic. So now you'll ask, Aman, how can we fetch the data using async and await? Wait, I'll tell you. We'll remove async from here, and we can call a function fetch data. I'm making this function as an arrow function. It's up to you if you want to use a function keyword. So I'll move this line inside the function, and now I can make this particular function as async, and it worked. Now I have to only call this function. Now if I check the UI and refresh it, I'm not getting any kind of error. So we can do all the work here. So first I'll take the result inside a variable. So I'll use a result variable, and we'll use const data. Now it is the same approach that we used previously. So result dot JSON, and set the star names dot data dot results, and make our loading as false. But this code will not work. Let's jump to the UI. You are seeing we got an error, cannot read properties of undefined. This is because the star names will set as undefined, and the reason result.json also returns a promise. So we need to use await here. So if I make it await, now if we check the UI and refresh it, we are getting the data. So this is our second approach. Now let's jump to our third approach. And you will have one question here, that can we move this function outside the useEffect? So yes, you can move. So if I have to move this function above, and if I check the UI, it seems loading and I get the results. But wait, we are forgetting something. So here it looks perfect, but this is not a best practice. So inside the useEffect, we are calling the fetch data method. So we have to define this fetch data method inside this dependency array. Now this fetch data method gives us a warning. But if we check the UI, you are able to see the data. But here is a catch. If you open the network tab, you can see that the API is calling multiple times. So it went in an infinite loop. But what's happening here? Now the question is it mandatory to put fetch data inside the dependency array? So it's yes. My ESLint is not properly configured. It is not giving any warning. Maybe yours also not configured properly, so it looks fine. But if you configure your ESLint properly, then it will start giving warning here if you don't include this fetch data method. But the question is why it is running inside a loop. Okay, so let's understand. When we are putting the fetch data method here, that means whenever the fetch data updated, this useEffect will run. But you will say, Aman, we are not calling the fetch data anywhere else and it's not updating, right? Understand this. We are setting two states inside a fetch data method. And whenever the set state run, it will re-render this particular component. And when the component re-render, this fetch data method will create from scratch. So it will get a new reference and it will rerun this particular useEffect. Now you will say that we don't need to move it outside the useEffect. No, you can move. So the solution for it, you have to use a hook, use callback. So what use callback will does, it will cache your function. So whenever the component re-renders, it will return the old function reference. So in that particular case, this will not rerun. So let's call the use callback, and here we'll pass our function. Now what's the error? We have to remove this. I'm mostly forgetting a bracket, so this one is closing here, so it need to be closed here, right? So we have to pass a dependency array as well, and we make this dependency array as empty. Most probably ESLint will provide a warning here as well because you are using set star names and set loading, so you can pass these two here as well. So we'll pass set loading and set star names. We are still getting error and this one is calling here, so this is not even needed then. Okay, now let's check the UI. Refresh it. Now you can see this API is only called one time. So this is our third approach. But we are making an extra effort for caching this particular function. So it's up to you. Do you want this thing or not? Now let's move to our last approach using immediately invoked function expression. So I'll cut this function from here. Remove this. I don't want this function as well, and neither this. Okay, so first we have to understand IIFE. So what immediately invoked function expression mean? So as soon as you define a function, it will call it immediately. So the syntax is you have to first pass your function inside a parenthesis. My prettier removed the parenthesis, so first I have to wrap it up. I need to remove the semicolon, and now I can call this particular function. So this is the syntax of immediately invoked function expression. So now if we check our UI, if I refresh it, I'm getting the data. It's working fine. So here you don't have to name any function, you can directly call it. This is the best use case of IIFE in React. I forgot one thing here, that we have to do error handling. So I create a try catch block and move this entire code into try. And we'll log this error. That's it. If you found this video useful, then please like this video, subscribe it, and please comment as well. This will help my channel to grow. Thank you for watching this video.